What's up? Doing a test here. This is Clueless Facebook Day. Doing some F-book video work right here. Anybody out there? All right. Hello, what's up, Jacqueline? How's it going? We're finally getting some awesome rain here in the San Antonio area. And so if you're, so what I want to do is do this Facebook Live video here. Get myself out of my my comfort zone. It's funny, like years ago I started doing videos, and I was filming some events with that, with a flip video. I call it walking and talking, and it was super fun. One video we did, it was an internet marketing training event, and it was kind of spontaneous when we launched it, and so we only had like about 4.5 weeks to fill it, and that was getting the order, everything set up, the website, the offer, the sales page, the whole deal, and I just didn't have a whole lot of time, so I started doing videos to fill that event. And I'm on this. Whoa, shit. I'm on this. I got this stand-up desk. You probably saw a different video that I did with that. And it's pretty cool setup actually. But there's a treadmill on here, so that's why I'm moving around and being all funny here. And every once in a while, oops, I forgot to reset that thing. Every once in a while, if I get a little distracted and look around, I almost eat it big time. Okay, what's up, John? Sharona in the West. How's it going? Who else is on here? Jacqueline, Lucinda. Cool. Awesome. Glad you guys are here. If you guys want to get some more people on or whatever. So anyway, this event, I didn't have much. What's up, Terza? Good to see you guys. I didn't have much time to fill this event. It was like crazy. So I just started doing videos, and I was down in Costa Rica, I was out in Australia, and I almost got ran over by a truck in Australia because I was walking and talking, doing these videos, and man, in Australia the traffic goes the opposite way, and you know when you're multitasking, you're just in autopilot mode. So I'm looking at traffic, talking, you know. And the problem is I'm looking the wrong direction. Traffic's coming this way, I'm looking that way. So that was a close call. But anyway, we filled that event, like 400 people in 4 weeks. It was pretty cool. It was really fun. So what I wanted to do is, the walking, the standing desk. Oh my gosh. Most of the work, I can do quite a bit of work. Like a lot of the work I do is, I can do everything except handwriting stuff. My handwriting is just freaking terrible anyway, so it's messed up. Sometimes I'll go days without writing by hand, and then when I go to pick up a pen, it's like I've got like what's that disease where you're, I'm not making fun, like where you're shaking and stuff. Like that's what happens to me. Thank God I could type, but anyway, so what was I saying? So most of the work I could do, I'm just kind of gabbing here for a little bit. What I want to talk to you guys about, I want to get your answer. I want to know from you, like, what's your #1 challenge or question about wealth building. But I'm kind of just, you know, I'm just gabbing a little bit. But so anyway, I can do most things with this on this desk, except handwriting or like detailed typing, right? So if I'm editing anything important like emails or anything like that, then I can't do it so well. But if I'm just typing out small stuff or doing research, I can do some investing and trading like this, they can do a lot. I think maybe about 60% of the work that I can do while I'm actually walking on the treadmill. Hold on a second here. Trying to get this thing out here a little more. Multitasking. So anyway, if you do get a stand-up desk, and they have all kinds of different ones out there. Some of them are not too expensive, and some of them are really expensive. Like this setup was pretty pricey, but it was an investment in my health, basically, right? So, okay, just to be moving, right, and not be sitting all day long. So the question I have that I want to throw out there for you is what I want to know. What's your biggest challenge, right, with wealth building? And you can define that however you want to define it. One of the things we talk about, and this is just part of my kind of journey in business and upbringing, that type of thing. And we talk about this in True Wealth Formula all the time, and also on the Wealth Builder app. If you don't have, I assume everybody on here has got the got access to the Wealth Builder app. Hey, what's up, Christos? You are trolling me. What are you doing? Gino Andy's watching. All right. I'm not much for F-book in here. Usually when I do the F-book thing, I'm hijacking my wife's. She does an F-book live. She gets like 5 zillion people on, and I should have never stopped doing those videos I was doing years ago. All right, so anyway, so one of the things is like defining it. So what I want you to do is just type in, I love you too, Christos, you're awesome, I miss you guys. Hope to see you guys soon. Okay, so it's my goddaughter. So if you could just type in question or whatever, just put it in the comments, what? Hi, Mary. All right. So just type in like what is. Just think about it while you're here. And share this thing with someone that you know also, because I want to get the feedback. I want to know what are you struggling with. Some people struggle with the money management side of things. Most people think it's just the earning side of it. They think if they earn more money, then that's going to solve all their financial problems. And we all sort of think that way because that's how we've been programmed our whole lives, is to basically think that if we make more money, then that's going to solve our problems. And that's statistically and through statistics and studies, that's true, but only up to a certain point. There's a bell curve with that, and so what happens is that actually the correlation between money and happiness it's not a constant. It's a bell curve, and so I talk a bit about that, like what that correlation looks like, right? Because we've been heavily programmed in our society, in our culture, in America and all the Western cultures specifically, or even developed nations. So it's not just Western society now; it's any country that is part of globalism, right? So this is part of the global economy, which is a consumption-based economy. It's not a production-based economy. And so part of making sure that economy keeps growing is to keep its marketing, its advertising, its heavy programming, heavy propaganda, and indoctrination. So a lot of the things that we consciously think in our minds, we think it's actually us. We think that's our thought. We think that we're the ones that came up with that idea. We think that, we just had a problem and we're trying to figure it out and solve it. We actually think that it's us, like it was our idea, But the way that the mind works is it works very, very similar to a computer. And there's an operating system in the background that is essentially running all the time, okay? And that operating system that's running nonstop is processing and feeding us information and answers. And the way our brain works is that we think it's our answer, okay? But what's up, Beverly? What's up, Mir, D's, and saying hi to you guys. Share this video if you want. Get some more people on here. But anyway, so that's how it works. Is we however old you are, like from the time you were a little, like the time you were born, you were being exposed to messaging. Okay, not just through media like TV and radio and now obviously internet and all the social networks and everything like that, but all your friends and your family, right? You can't drive down the street in your neighborhood without being exposed and programmed. And so when we're so you got to understand this is what the whole global economy is based on. This changed back in like I mean, there's no one event, okay? A lot of people say, well, it was in 1971 when the US dollar went off the gold standard, right? Well, that's certainly where you can, that's the most obvious event that you can see where all of a sudden the national debt started spiking and all that started happening. But you got to understand that that event, when that happened in 71, this is bigger picture stuff, bigger context stuff, okay? Which I like to do with True Wealth Formula. I don't know about you, but a lot of people just look for the answer, and I want to know the reason why, right? And part of it is my marketing background, business background, and it's kind of a disease of just knowing a little too much about how marketing and branding and positioning and messaging works. So you got to understand that, yeah, that event happened in 71. If you follow, if you're into that stuff, but it didn't happen in a vacuum. There was stuff going on years and even decades before that prepared the world and our society and America and the people for that event to happen. Okay, so then, but that's the easiest point in time to be able to identify where our. Hey William, how's it going, bro? And Mary, hi. Okay, yeah, go ahead and post your questions in here. You know, it could be any question about wealth, building wealth, okay? So anyway, I hope you think this is interesting. I love this stuff. Like, to me, it's funny, you know, we talk about wealth or money or whatever. Like that stuff sort of gets a little bit boring because once you have a foundational system in place, it's not actually as complicated as all the experts make it to be. And a huge portion of my life has been, and certainly more recently, really focused on simplicity, getting rid of all the noise, all the stuff, because it's just ridiculous, right? Too much damn information, and all that information causes your brain to short circuit and shut down. And then, so what you end up doing is because of that, it always, for you and me, it always comes down to, oh, I have this situation and this problem and I have this question. So then we're going to ask people, ask an expert, oh, what do I do in this? Oh, I got this going on, what do I do with that? And so we become very opportunity focused, right? We become very problem solution focused. And the problem with that is there's no end to that, okay? There's literally no end to that stuff. And the more you're exposed to, the more of that there is. And that becomes just what I would call a cluster fest. And if this is resonating with you, like say something, like send me a comment, you know, if you've gone through this. But I just tell you my story, like, you know, I grew up in Hawaii on the streets, no dad, my mom was a single mom, married, divorced several times. She was a great mom. She did the best. Being a single mom is tough, like hardcore, man. You know, even harder today. But my wife is doing a webinar coming up on for single moms next week. And I told her last night. I said, man, I'm so proud of you for doing that. It's not just for single moms, but because that's a hard thing, you know, and really, really hard. So that's pretty cool. You can find that info over on the Danny Johnson page or DannyJohnson.com or whatever. Okay, so my mom was a single mom, and she did the best she could, and you know, but it was a lot of instability. You know, I was on the streets at 8 years old selling, right? Selling flour, plumeria lace. Go ahead and put your question in. What's your biggest question or challenge about wealth building? Okay, and so. All right, cool. So anyway, I was from 8 years old. I started my first business, and I learned. Oops. I'm on a treadmill. For those of you just joining. Okay, so anyway, I was 8 years old doing my first business, selling like, and the good thing about that is I learned really early on. If I didn't work, I didn't eat. I mean, basically, it wasn't. I mean, yeah, we were on welfare, whole thing. Okay, so as a business owner, young, started was a full-time business at 18. And that was pretty much the last time I worked for somebody. So pretty much full-on psychologically unemployable now. But anyway, my wife and I had been business partners for years, over 20 years, and so as a business owner, you know, you start having success, and naturally you have capital that builds up if you're not spending everything you make, and so you get there's tax questions, there's estate planning questions, if you have property or real estate. I mean, there's all these questions. And for me, there's just no end to that. There was a season where I had professional advisors that were managing an investment account, and attorneys that were advising on this thing and that thing, and it just was too crazy. And I saw mistakes made. We had an account with the bank, 200-year-old bank, highly recommended. Right, by an attorney who came through a referral, right? All the due diligence stuff, all the stuff you're supposed to do. And this bank had a fraud, you know, and they were committing fraud. They were falsifying documents and sticking money in funds that they weren't supposed to. And so I really went through this season where I just said, you know what, I really started to do some really deep research and look at the most successful investors, most successful traders in the world, and also the most successful families that had successfully developed multi-generational wealth, and started looking at patterns, and essentially one of the things that comes up is a common theme is that nobody's going to do for you what you're not willing to do for yourself. So here we are. We want to give somebody else. We want to go and get all the answers from these people. But in the end, we're responsible. We have to own that responsibility, right? And so, for me, and then the other part is the marketing side, right? I mean, how many of you get an email in your inbox, or you get an ad in your news feed, or whatever, advertising about some financial product, some investing product, right? It's just everywhere. And one thing you'll find in common with all of these is they're all making a prediction. They're all predicting, oh, the market's going to crash. Get out now before, or get into real estate. Money's, So it's two things. They say that investing is based on two emotions. That it's based on fear and greed, but that's actually not true. Fear is a much more powerful emotion than greed. So when you make decisions about your money, And this could be on the consumption side, the spending side. It could be budgeting, right? It could be that whole side of the equation, or it could be on the investing side. What's really going on is not fear and greed, but fear and fear. It's two different types of fear, okay? And spent a lot of time talking about that, right? And so to me, I really, because of my background and growing up in poverty and all this stuff, I said, man, I really want to conquer this, you know? And part of that path for me was, and this is years, this isn't just recent, this is like years. A lot of journaling, developing and refining and tweaking this system. But a big part of it was simplifying. How do we simplify this? How do we simplify this? So going back to what I was talking about earlier, our whole world, okay, if you were in either a Western nation or any of the developed nations that are really tied into this global economy, you have to understand that the whole idea behind globalism is consumption, okay? So there was a time in our country's history where it was production. It was a production-based economy. And you had a higher standard of living, okay? Now, you didn't have more options. You didn't have more stuff. You didn't have all of this crazy stuff that we have now. But you actually had a higher quality of life. And you had more freedom, more happiness. And, you know, I could go on some crazy rants on that, but I'll contain myself a little bit here. And so then the economy started slowly transferring to a consumption-based economy. And in order to grow a consumption-based economy, you have to fuel it with debt, okay? And so debt became the underlying growth mechanism of the economy. And so you just keep getting bigger and bigger contractions, expansions, booms and busts, bubbles that pop, that sort of thing. And but going back to what I was saying earlier, you have to understand that when you're dealing with a money issue, and you're dealing with the decision about money or even investing, and please type your question in. I can't answer them all right now or look at them all, but I will. I'm going to look at them, and we're going to put together maybe a training or a webinar or something like that. So what is your biggest question about or challenge about wealth building or about money or investing? Could be any of that, okay? So you got to understand that we've been basically programmed our entire lives to be consumption, okay, consumers, right? And you hear this. The government and the media talks about this all the time. Oh, the consumer is really out there. They're doing a good job, you know. And to be a debt slave, okay? And so one of the things that we do is we spend a bit of time on a reprogramming sequence to get that computer reprogrammed. But the first part of that is an awareness of realizing that, yeah, there's our conscious part that we think where we're in control and we think we're making decisions and we're the ones that, oh, I have this problem, let me solve it. And we come up with pros and cons lists and we go through that whole logical, conscious thing, and we think we're the one that's driving the wheel. But what's really driving the wheel, what's really behind the wheel, is the operating system that's in the back, okay? So we have a fake steering wheel, but we're actually in we're in the passenger seat. but we think we're in the driver's seat. And, but who's really in the driver's seat is the subconscious operating system that has been programmed for years and decades, okay, to essentially give us an answer. And that answer can be in a lot of different ways, okay? And when that answer is given to us about our money, about our investments, okay, we think it's our answer. We think we're smart. We think we came up with it. And so the powers that be, the elites, people that are a lot smarter than you and I, they understand this. They know this, right? So this whole global economy has been set up and designed and engineered this way. Engineered for consumption, engineered for debt, right? And it's all about telling you, that what you have and who you are is not enough, right? It's all geared towards that. You know, your business isn't growing fast enough. You're not making enough money. Your house doesn't look good enough. Look at your neighbor. They're doing better, right? You know, just on and on and on. That's the root of the messaging, okay? That's the marketing, okay? And marketing and sales, and this is really weird for me because if you're in business, you have to market, you have to sell, right? You have to provide an answer, okay, a product or service that solves a problem, okay? But one of the things that we talk about is it really a problem, you know, like for reals. Uh-oh. I hope this is still working. Hey, Ronnie, what's up? So the whole system is geared towards basically telling us, okay, and again, this is not just, and now here's the whole crazy thing about this, is I could give you this information right here on this video, right? And now you have it in your head, and you say, oh, I know that, I know the answer, okay? You need to also realize that you've been programmed to give the answer, okay? So you've been programmed to be smart, go to school, get a good education, get a good job, right? When the test comes, fill in the blanks, write the answers in. Oh, I'm good, good job. Pat me on the head, give me my star. Okay, ever since little tiny kid, right? Good job, Johnny. Right, you did it. Okay, so our whole programming, the operating system, has been conditioned and programmed to give the right answer. Right? And so this is like a different hat, because when you're a business owner and you're building a business, that's part of the game. You got to market, you got to sell, you got to position, okay? But when you're managing your money, when you're making investment decisions, you have to put on a totally different hat and realize that there's a whole other side to that, okay? And you have to sort of like disconnect. And if you're good at sales or you're good at marketing, then you're the easiest person to sell. I'm the easiest person in the world to be sold something. If I'm interested in something and I'm excited about something or whatever, man, I'm the first guy. I'm like, boom, you know. And the more expensive it is, or the more exclusive it is, or whatever, I'm the guy that's gonna, you know, boom, you know. Right? If you're not selling me, it's because the price is too small. You know, or don't ever tell me everybody else is doing it. You should do it too. If you tell me that, you just lost a sale. I got a funny story about that. I was up because we're building this property, and it's a crazy project, super stretching me. And so anyway, the other day we're making this decision about this like stone that's going to go out on this area, and we're looking at these different options, and the builder's like, yeah, he shows me this one, and he goes, oh God, this is a crazy confession. So he, what's up, Nancy? So he says, oh, well, this stone right here, he goes, this one, he gave me a name of somebody we both knew. And he goes, yeah, so-and-so's putting this stone in everywhere. Like this one's going in and like all over the place. And I didn't say anything. I'm just like, well, we ain't using that crap. Hell no! Get that stuff out of here. I don't want to see that. Don't show me that. Anyway, so anyway, that's a personality thing. But so you got to understand, there's a totally different skill set to make money than it is to keep money and to make it grow for you and make it your slave. Okay, so this global economy, this whole system is based on programming and conditioning you to be a consumer, not a producer, and to be a debt slave. Okay, because if you're not spending and consuming, which means you're eating your seed instead of planting your seed. Money is seed, okay? And if you're consuming and eating that seed, then you need debt, because the messaging's telling you that who you are isn't good enough. You're not doing well enough. Look at your neighbors; they're doing better than you. They're driving better. They're in a nice car, all that sort of thing. So So type in, what is your biggest, well, now I'm focusing on the inner part, okay? But it's very real that there's some skill sets when it comes to managing money, budgeting, right? The wealthy don't budget in dollars and cents. They budget with ratios, okay? Or let me rephrase that. They manage money. They don't budget. They manage money, right? So there's some simple principles and some rules that if you have the right foundation, then you can get rid of all the noise, all the people that are talking and selling constantly, right? And pitching, right? And promoting, right? Turn on CNBC or open your inbox. You're going to get, oh, you know, the market, I mean, and the best, I call them the prediction pimps, right? Nobody can, I mean, now these are experts. These are really smart people. But I watched them and tracked them for years, okay, years. And they're marketers. They're really good, okay? So there's this old saying that even a broken clock is right twice a day. So what they do, the ones that are really good, is they're going to tell you, they're going to take both ends. So they say, oh, the market's about to crash. Oh, we're about to head into our biggest, you know, upswing. So they're providing data and a quote opinion for each side. And it's all about marketing, and it's all about chasing bunnies. It's all about getting the answer to the question that you think you came up with. Okay? So we can be smart and know, but nobody knows, right? These guys are wrong all the time. Like, they are wrong all the time, okay? If I made predictions every single day, I could be right once in a while, right? But I'm going to be wrong a lot. Because you can't predict markets, okay? You can guess, and sometimes your guess is going to be right, right? Even the biggest traders, ones that made it, you know, there's guys that made billions of dollars because they, quote, predicted and called the crash, the last market crash, the financial crisis. They predicted that, right? Then they went on to make other predictions, and they bankrupted their hedge fund, right? So for me, personally, I said, I'm going to take responsibility. Nobody's going to do for me what I'm not willing to do for myself. It doesn't mean I don't know, doesn't mean I know everything, but I've got to own this, right? Number two, all of the experts, all the prediction pimps, they don't have a very, actually, if you track them and you pay attention, their track records aren't that great. But what they're good at, and they know this, we don't have, their track record isn't great, but our memory is worse. And our ability, our attention span, and our ability to pay attention is worse. I hope you caught that. So 5 months go by, 6 months go by, they can say, hey, you know, back in so-and-so I made this prediction and we've had this track record of being right. Nobody publishes their track record of being wrong. Okay? So what I did, hey Joy. So what I did is I said, look, this is crap. I'm not gonna, our family has worked very hard. I've made, you know, over a period of 20 years, I've had some huge wins. I've made some mistakes. I mean, I've had 7-figure wins in investing. Okay, I've also had some, I've had some gnarly, you know, I've had some big mistakes too. You know, I mean, I was doing trading in the stock market back in the .com thing, and I had days where I was making $8,000 a day, and I thought I was like, whoa, you know, and then the market rolled over, and I had a margin call, you know. So you got to understand, this is years and years and years, and I basically, for me, I said, look, I want to simplify this, and knowing what I know about human history, just from my own study and my own experience as a marketer and doing that, and started to look. I said, look, I'm not smart. I think I'm smart. I'm not smart, right? I'm as susceptible as everybody else is. We're all susceptible. If we think we're smart, knowing the answer in here and having the information in here, it doesn't help you. Okay, I mean, it's important. You got to have that. But honestly, and if this resonates with you, say something. You know. But have you ever found that the more information you get, the more confused you get? Right? You sit down with 10 different experts, you get 10 different opinions. Right? Attorneys, accountants, whatever. You know. Financial people, experts on TV. people have different opinions. It's not because they're bad people or they're not smart or whatever. So I just was like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being the victim. Right? Because my attorney said do this. Oh, well, shoot. You know, I just did what my attorney did. Well, crap, dude, you gotta amend that tax return because what you did probably wasn't right. Oh, great, awesome. I guess it was right 10 years ago and now it's not. You know, I mean, like this is the kind of thing. So I basically said, wow, okay, really, like all liability really does sit here, right? All responsibility does sit here. And so for me, now you might be different, but for me, I said, I want to simplify. I want to get rid of all these dependencies, right? And this reaction response on predictions, right? And on what I know about the mind, and the mind wants to get the answer to the question. So there's never an end to the question. There's never an end to the complexity of financial crap and bullcrap, right? There's no end to it. And so through prayer and just journaling and self-reflection and, you know, started refine this down to a simple system, studying the most successful investors, looking at my own track record, what's worked, what hasn't, where do I got to tweak, make adjustments, what do I got to do differently, you know? And it really comes down to risk management. It comes down to managing through ratios and having kind of a master strategy. So then you can, when you get that information, you get these pieces of advice, you have context, okay? And you have a system, a master framework and a system that you can then determine, does this apply to me? Do I even need this information? Am I focusing on this little thing and I'm missing the big picture here? What's going on with the big picture, you know? So it reduced the stress, you know, all those dependencies, right? And it's fun, having fun. So anyway, but so back to what I was saying earlier. So the whole global economy is a debt-based, consumption-based economy. The reason why people say, well, why is the national debt continuing to increase? And everybody's like, the debt's too high, the debt's too high. You got to understand that most people don't know this. The debt, this is why you will never get, this is the complete, I'm going to go off here maybe. This is the complete, absolute hypocrisy and bullcrap. And if you, as a marketer, I know this, okay? You know, who owns Tide and Cheer? I want to ask you that question. Who owns Tide and Cheer? Laundry detergent, right? You want to know who owns them both? Procter & Gamble, okay? They own both brands. You, meaning the majority of people, have a preference, one or the other. Oh, I like this one because I don't like that one, right? You know that the most successful companies out there, they may not be owned by the same company, but they share the same board of directors, same shareholders, okay? So you think that there's really a difference between, like, generally, like, the label Republican and Democrat, right? So people get upset and they go, well, why does the national debt keep going? You know, what's going on? You're not going to get any of these guys to do anything about it. You want to know why? You want to know why? Here's the answer. Because the economy is a debt-based economy. And it can't grow unless the debt keeps growing. Right? So we're going to sit here all day long, you know, and it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be concerned about things like national debt and that, but we got to start with here, and we need to get our brain straight and get a system in place on how do we manage our money. We need to redefine wealth, specifically true wealth. That's what I did. I stepped back and I said, wait a second. I started researching, digging deep. I was like, this is crap. I've been freaking sold. Why am I so focused on doing more and more? We've been programmed more is better, bigger is better, and it's a freaking lie, right? If more is better and bigger is better, okay? If you doing more and getting bigger, whatever that is, if that's not making you happier, and this is what I did, is I said, this isn't working. I'm miserable. I'm a rich, miserable bastard right now. If you're familiar with that training that I do, right? This ain't working. I'm freaking, there's too much damn information, right? The mind has 180 biases. 180 biases. These are programs in our mind. And some of these are genetic, from thousands and thousands of years of genetic survival. You can call it evolution. You can call it whatever you want. You call it whatever you want. It's a fact, right? Some of it is adaptation to our current modern day culture and society. 180, and we think we're in control. We think we're making decisions about our money. Our money actually is a representation of our. This is kind of weird, but it's the result of our life. Because now it shouldn't be. What our value system and where we find where our identity comes from, and our value comes from, should be from the Creator first and foremost, and then it should be relationships. The people that are closest to us, our wives, our kids, right? That's where our identity and validation should come from. But again, we're fighting against this massive, very efficient programming machine. Okay, so that's why I started to use the term. This is all the way back in early 2000s in 01. It's the first time I registered the domain name TrueWealthFormula.com. And because I was like, okay, what is true wealth? I started to work on the definition. Started to ask myself, I'm not going to let somebody else define this for me, right? So there's a whole kind of a reprogramming sequence there of doing that, and working on that mental program, and then setting up those building blocks, right? Most people have no idea how to tell between an asset and a liability, right? And don't know how to separate the characteristics of those various assets. I mean, yeah, we all have the basic, Kiyosaki definition of an asset puts money in your pocket and a liability takes money out. Well, what does that mean, right? There are certain types of assets have specific characteristics about them. And so breaking that down and learning about that, right? So anyway, put your question, if you got a, put your whatever your biggest question or biggest challenge is, and then we'll work on putting together some kind of like training or webinar. We're working on putting together. I do classes a couple times a year, but it's limited because of my time. Teaching this system to people and taking people through this whole system, all the way from the mindset part, all the way to the money management and the investing side, so that there's a master strategy on how to do this and how to separate. In other words, a strategy that's in place where we have rules that are set up and a system set up that is in front of our conscious mind, because human nature, and once you understand this stuff, at every opportunity you will sabotage yourself. Okay, you will either this is what happens. Okay, and the most successful investors, successful traders in history set up non-discretionary rules-based systems to offset and to hedge the human psychology and the human nature component, right? So I take people through that, but we're working on getting that material into a course, and so that it can be available for people to go through it, at your own pace, and then where we do some coaching and some stuff on, to help you at each step of the way, so that you get those ratios dialed in. You get your budgeting dialed in, you get your money management system dialed in, you automate it, right? We set up the money management and the automation side of it, and then the investing side. There's ways to automate some of the investing so that your money is compounding month after month and growing month after month, right? And then also ratios to where you separate your risk money, your fun, or what I call the fun money, from your orchard money, okay? Your long-term growth, compound, your legacy money, okay? And then we show you how to actually define that, right? Because most people don't even know how to separate it. Because you have a question, you go to a financial planner. A financial planner their concept of diversification and asset allocation is 40% bonds and 60% stocks. Right? Are you kidding me? But that's because that's what the training is, and the training and the programming is all about transactional activity. So it's all about transactional activity, okay? And the transactions generate fees and they generate taxes. So anyway, we do that and it's fun, but I'm looking forward to, we're making some good progress on getting this content into some into some videos and some courses that people can go through, right? And then it frees up my time. It makes it so that more people can get access to this information. It's changed my life. It's changed thousands of our clients' lives, and it's simplified it and removed the stress and the fear. I mean, can you imagine, like, having your money make money for you every single month, like growing and not being afraid, right? Every time you get a message or you turn on the TV and you open up your news feed and you just hear this crazy hell. I saw this feed the other day. It was so ridiculous. I mean, and it's worse today because everything's clickbait. The whole system's melting down. And all of these structures that have been around for years that we put our trust into, I'm talking the news media, government systems, banking systems, everything, right? Well, our attention span is becoming more and more fragmented. So there's more and more of a need to use clickbait-based headlines in order to get our attention on whatever it is. Okay, if you've been paying attention to this, the gap between the headline and the actual content of the article or the video or whatever it is, that gap is getting further and further and further and further apart. And the desperation in the media and in various places is getting more and more desperate. Because, why is that gap getting farther and farther apart? Because two things. One, our attention's like this, all over the place. And they know that 99% of the people actually don't read the content. Don't pay attention to the details. Right? So if I can get you to click, and you're going to scan read, and you're not even going to pay attention to the actual details, so unless you're really paying attention, 99% of the population isn't, you're not going to notice that I just totally massive bait and switched you. But while you're on my page, you're maybe going to click on some ad, which keeps our ad revenue. So we keep our clicks up, we keep our views up, and we're still meeting our ad revenue. Okay, so it's messed up. So I can't remember what the hell I was talking about before that. So, does anybody remember what I was talking about before I went off on that little tangent? I go off on tangents sometimes, only sometimes. This is a clean video right now, by the way. Okay, so you have to know that, like, there's all this clickbait stuff, these headlines. Oh, this is what it was. So I get this. This is it, the headlines. Okay. Let's go talk about the system. So what we do is we set you up with this system where you're not being like tossed to and fro by the wind. Okay, the wind being every ad that you see, every article that you see, every headline that you see, with something that is really should be part of your. It's a provision from the Creator that you have. If you've gone through this system and you have managed your money and you have this resource now, it's not a resource for you to just eat, it's to build a legacy. Okay? So we redefine the whole thing and we retweak the numbers so that you become a wealth builder, and wealth builders are legacy builders, not somebody who's fooled by this concept in our modern society called retirement planning. Okay? All the financial calculators, they're all retirement planning calculators. And it's all garbage. Right? This modern portfolio theory, crazy crap, is complete bullcrap. Right? And I don't even have time to get into that. But what they do is they sell. It's all about absolute return, which is save, put all your money in risk assets. Okay? And hope and pray that when you, quote, retire, you have enough money and that you don't die, you don't run out of money before you die. So what is that? okay, this goes against, now this is a modern thing. This didn't exist 100 years ago. This got invented because of getting people out of the farms and into factories, and oh, if we offer people a retirement, a pension plan for 40 years, then they'll stick with us. You know what, the average career now is 5 years. Every 5 years people are changing careers. You know what? People's pensions are not happening. The only people that are getting that are government employees, right? That's not the majority of people, right? 401ks, that deal ain't working. All the quote experts that said the 4% rule you can withdraw, they're all saying now that rule doesn't work, right? They're changing their rules. You know what they said? Oh, if you save 10%, that's good enough. Now they're saying that's not right. It should actually be 20%. So you're going to put 40 years of your life into quote bull BS retirement planning with some expert who is going to tell you, do this plan and you should be okay, right? Meanwhile, it's complete opposite in both motive and strategy of what the wealth builders have done since the beginning of time, right? So these guys are working off of an industrial age model, which is gone. We're no longer in the industrial, that's dying, okay? We're already blown past the information age. We're now in the machine age. And all retirement planning, everywhere you go, is based off of an industrial age model that was only invented 100 years ago that is already becoming obsolete. Right? I'm not saying that hasn't worked for some people, but for most people, it ain't working. Right? So why not do it a different way? Why not learn a different way? Why not learn a more simple way? Right? Why not learn this skill set yourself? Then when you sit down with an advisor and an expert, and these are valuable people, you're not a deer in headlights going, tell me what to do with my money. Right? No. You have a strategy, you have a plan, and there's a need. You've identified, oh, I need some help over here. Here's what I want. Here's what I need some help with. What are your thoughts? Right? And you realize probably in many cases that guy, that person doesn't have even the same results that you do at managing their money maybe. Right? But then you can sit down and you can work with good people, because there are some really good people out there. But you got to understand there's an underlying sales model. Okay? It's sales. And, okay? I've sat down with financial planners, good, really smart people, a lot smarter than me. You pay a fee-based financial planning. Awesome. This was years ago. Sit down. Oh, we're going to do all this, blah, 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 blah. Going to help you build out, what do you, and the first thing they're going to ask you is, what do you, give me all, what are all your assets? You're going to have to put your balance sheet together. So we do that in our course, so that you have your balance sheet. You have all that stuff. You already know what it is, okay? You're not coming to them and them going asking you questions that you don't know. You're the one asking them questions because you already know. You know what you have. You know what the gap is and what you need. Right? So this was years ago. Fee-based. So I'm like, I don't want to deal with the commission side of things. Do fee-based financial planning. You sit down. You pay thousands of dollars. You sit down, and then within a couple hours or whatever, they get just enough information to satisfy their fiduciary responsibility, and then whatever question you're asking insurance questions, or you're asking stock, whatever, boom, it's selling a product, right? And in this particular scenario, it was insurance. Like and then the rest of my quote fee-based financial planning was all about being presented an insurance product. Now I don't have a problem with that, but damn hell, I should not be paying. I shouldn't be paying someone to sell me if they're already going to earn a commission on it. Anyway, I have some strong opinions about some things. You don't have to buy into all of it, but I can show you the system. So anyway, what it does is it removes you from being a victim and being tossed to and fro by the wind of all of these ads and headlines. So back to what I was saying earlier. Is I saw this headline just the other day. Dollar crashes and gold is on a tear, right? I pull up my app and I look, gold's up like $3. And I'm like, what, you know, but these are the headlines, right? And if you don't know, you're like, oh my God, oh, I gotta go get gold because I'm gonna miss out on the next big gold rush, right? Stocks collapse, really? You know, we're in a trading range right now. Market's correcting, finally, we needed it, you know? But they haven't crashed yet. Stocks are gonna crash. Really, are you sure about that? Maybe they will. This really doesn't matter, you know? Every market booms and busts. And every market that busts eventually comes back into a boom cycle. Markets cycle up and down, right? What is the rule? What is the system that you're using to manage that risk so that you can be in a market or out of a market when it's trending in the right direction? Versus relying on the advertising of people that are selling on the way up and then selling on the way down, and in some cases selling both sides so that they can say that they're right. Right? So I got tired of it. I got freaking tired of it. I decided to opt out of the bullcrap. And so now I don't need to pay somebody else to make mistakes for me. I can make my own mistakes. And at least if I make the mistake, I'm learning. I'm going to learn from my mistake, right? Somebody else makes a mistake, all I get to hear is whatever their answer. They give me an explanation. What happened? How come you lost $200,000? Oh, well, this happened. Da, 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 da. How do I know? I don't. I have to take whatever they told me. And human nature is self-preservation and self-protection. Okay? Just as how it is. If I make the mistake, I can keep a journal. I can compare. Did I stray from my system? Did I break a rule? Or something not right with my system? Do I need to modify that? Or something not right with me? Am I doing something I shouldn't be doing? That's not right with my temperament, my personality, my gifting from the Creator? Right? So to me, I said, I'd rather learn. I'd rather make that mistake my prisoner for the rest of my life. Instead of being dependent on, I have a question, what's the answer? Oh, cool. I have a question. What's the answer? Can you give me an answer to my question, please? Oh, cool. Right? So True Wealth Formula is about teaching us how to fish, not giving the fish, right? How to think, how to understand how our mind works, what's going on in the global economy and in society at large, right? And being able to see the context of all of that and not be angry about it, not whatever. I spent years being pissed off and angry, whatever. And I just said, you know what? This is what it is. This is the system, right? And I started praying. My prayers changed. I said, Father, teach me how to be in you, but how to live, how to be in the world, but not of the world, right? How to engage. Teach me how to do battle in this system and not be the victim of it, right? And those prayers changed everything. It changed everything. So we give you that context and then the understanding of yourself, and then a master strategy and a master framework for building wealth, managing money, budgeting money, right? So having your balance sheet and understanding your various different assets, liabilities, whatever. How to accelerate debt, how to optimize your balance sheet for cash flow, right? Then you can go and you can work with tax experts or various people that are very qualified, very smart, good people, and you can fill in the gaps. But your core, you'll have it, okay? So I think I'm going to sign off because... So put your question in. If you have a question, what's your number one question or challenge about money, about wealth building, about investing, right? It could be anything, right? It could be different than what I've talked about, you know. Maybe I said some things that got you to think a little bit, think a little bit differently and see things a little bit differently, right? But just go ahead and put that question in there. If you want more information, you can go to truewealthformula.com. There's a free money quadrant report. It's a PDF. You'll get that. And you'll get on my mailing list, and I'll follow up with you, and I'll give you I'll start walking you through some of these concepts, okay, through email. And you can start to kind of educate yourself and get your brain like thinking a little bit differently and seeing things a little bit differently. So we start taking you through that step. There's a training called the TWF Bootleg training, and it's just a set of audios. And this is crazy. Like when I was on this crazy restructuring project a couple years ago, and I was out in the off grid. This was off grid in the mountains in New Mexico with a bunch of guys. And we were doing some stuff, but I was doing some wealth training, and I was like, man, I really want to record. This is the first time I had actually spoken. I had taken a couple years off, and I went through this this thing in life, and some of this material came out of that, and so I just hit record on my iPhone, and I recorded, and I did 3 nights in a row of teaching True Wealth Formula and teaching these concepts, and so that bootleg training is available. So if you go to truewealthformula.com, you can get that, and you can get that training, and you can start to go through, and you can start to get exposed to some of these ideas and some of this system, right? You can download the Wealth Builder app. It's a free app. It's available in the Apple Store or on Google Play, and we have like crazy ratings. I'm like incredibly humbled by the testimonials and the ratings that we've had on that app and on the content. And so I would get on that app. There's some articles in there. There's some material in there. And then keep an eye. If you go to truewealthformula.com and you get the money quadrant report, and you get the TWF bootleg training, then you will be one of the first to know about when we put this whole system into a course that you can go through. Okay, and you'll be able to do it right through your phone. Right through the mobile app. What's cool is it'll be with you wherever you go. So if you're sitting and you show up on time for the doctor's appointment, but the doctor's like 30 minutes late, you don't have, that doesn't have to be dead time. Like you could be like working through that course material, right? There's going to be worksheets, right? That'll help you like work out some of these questions and do this. It's really geared for the self-directed investor. Okay, self-directed means I'm taking responsibility. I don't know everything, right? I'll still work with advisors and key people when I need to, but I'm taking responsibility for my money, for my family, for my investments, okay? I'm not going to just be the victim of, somebody telling me stuff, right? I mean, here's the other thing too. This is part of the backstory on this and how it kind of developed for me. Is I realized, I was like, these guys, they give out recommendations. Oh, buy, and I've done it before, like, hey, buy precious metals, buy gold, whatever. This is what I'm doing, right? But then later I was like, hey, you know what? How many times, or real estate, or stock market, or you need to buy some Apple stock, or you need to buy this, right? Well, are those guys ever around when it's time to sell? Like, what are the chances that you're going to be paying attention and that you're going to be there and they're going to be there with you when it's time to sell? Okay? Every market booms and busts. So you can write it up and write it down. Look at what just happened with Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin's finally finding a base. And who knows what's going to happen with that. But boy, Bitcoin last summer, $2,500. December, 20,000, right? So you had all these people, I made so much money on Bitcoin. Well, if you don't sell at the top, then you really didn't make the money, right? And do you control that? You have no control over it, okay? On those types of assets, okay? So, but I just started realizing, like, these guys aren't around when it's time to sell. I better learn this myself, I better learn how to identify which type of assets to get into and then when to get out, right? So anyway, you can go to you can get the Money Quadrant report. That's a good, solid starting point, good place to start. And you get the TWF bootleg. That's at truewealthformula.com. Okay, and then you would be the first to know when this course comes out, and then get the app, Wealth Builder app, right? Because what's cool is you'll have the app, have it with you, and you can be just reprogramming. training, studying, getting this stuff down, getting these systems down. One of the things I do in the course is I show you exactly what I do. So I don't tell you what to do, I show you what I'm doing. I show you the apps that I use because I've structured this to where for me, my lifestyle, I do travel, business, other things. I don't want to be like totally in front of a screen all day, but I always have my mobile phone with me. So for me, I love to test things. I'm always testing stuff and get it refined down to, okay, here's the apps I use to manage the money. Here's the apps, here's how I set up the audit. Here's how I automate things, right? Here's how I set up the rules, the whole deal. So it's really like, passing that on, and I'm excited to be able to do that because I just feel passionate about this stuff, obviously, it's my, to be able to allow more access, right? So it's not just based on when I could do the classes. So anyway, please, hey Tashawn, how you doing? I'm on a treadmill right now. I got this desk, so that's why I'm moving around. Salvador, what's up? Aguilar, Iona, hello. Lindsay, what's up, John? So go ahead and if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the comments, and I'll look at those later. What's your number one question or challenge about wealth building, right? If you haven't put a question in, please go ahead and do that, and we'll look at those, and then we'll get some more stuff out for you. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this. I had fun. So I appreciate you guys having fun with me, and kind of let you into my crazy day here. This is my desk. It's not that dirty. It's kind of, I don't know. I got a few things here I gotta clean up a little bit. All right, you guys are awesome. God bless. Talk to you later.